Guys, welcome back, and our cornbread is ready. So we're going to take it out of the oven right now. Let me find my pot holder. I got my beans boiling there, getting them a little bit thicker. So here we are. Here is that cheesy, spicy cornbread. So let me go ahead and cut it. And I do have my white rice on my plate. And this is just plain white rice. And then I'm going to eat it with the beans poured over the top. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm hungry. Okay. So I'm going to cut this. First I'm going to test it. I'm going to take a toothpick and stick it into the center. And if it comes out clean, then it's done. And it did. There's no cornbread on there. So we know that it is ready to eat. So I'm going to go ahead and just cut me a big old piece of it. And this is going to be so good with my red beans and rice. I'm going to scoop it out with my spatula because I don't want it to break. So there we go. I'm going to slice it open and put me a big old pat of butter in it. So let me do that right now. I have my butter right here. I was raised on margarine, oleo, I think is what it was called back then. But when I started raising my own family, and when I could afford it, I did buy real butter. And I do prefer real butter, and I'm just going to slather it on this cornbread. So there it is. I got butter inside it and butter on top of it. So let me go ahead and dish out my red beans. And I'm going to have to drain a little bit of that juice off because it does have quite a bit of juice on it, but that's okay. They still gonna be good, ain't they? Okay. And then what we want to do is, like I told you, even if you're only cooking for yourself, you love your food, and you make it pretty. So I got a tomato out of Jill's garden with a little bit of celery top there. So here's my red beans and rice and my spicy cornbread and my tomato, and I have a glass of tea. So we're going to go in the living room, and then I'll tell y'all the rest of the story about my drug relapse. So that next morning after Dr. Silroyd had put me to bed that night, of course I had to go downstairs and face him, and I had to tell him, you know, I had not told him about being a recovering drug addict. So I told him the story. Of course, he did know about me losing my son, you know, that a drunk driver had killed Jeremy. And so I think he understood, you know, with him being a father himself. And so we just talked about it, and he said, you know, I told him that I had been in rehab before down in Mississippi, and so he said, well, he would see about getting the nanny who had been there before me to see if she would come back, and then I could fly to Mississippi and go back into rehab for 30 days. And that's what I did. And that was the best thing that ever happened to me because I have not touched OxyContin or any kind of prescription drug or any type of drug since then. But one of my problems was that you know, when I got on the Xanax and Valium, I would take enough at night to knock me out. So when I stopped with the drugs, I couldn't go to sleep. I mean, I just had insomnia to the worst. Some nights I would only sleep 1, maybe 2 hours, and this was ongoing, night after night after night. And then I still had to get up and work, you know, the next day, taking care of this family. So when I did go back to the rehab there in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, there was a female psychiatrist there. and she started me on an antidepressant called Seroquel. And one of the side effects is that it makes you sleepy. And she also started me on the Zoloft for my obsessive compulsive disorder. So that relapse that I did there in Dr. Steroid's house was the best thing that ever happened to me, because that female psychiatrist got me on the right track and the right kind of medications. And I've been taking those same medicines now for a little over 10 years. So this is the end of my story. And we're going to go ahead and eat my red beans and rice and my spicy cornbread. And I will leave the recipe for the cornbread down in the description. And y'all just keep on coming back. Bye, guys.